Well, for those of you who are on Facebook, you should be able to see and hear me via Facebook Live. Just give me a second while I make a few more adjustments to the camera position, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be right back. Here, I hope you all are able to hear me, listen to me. I give you all a thumbs up. I give you all a victory sign. I give you all a wave. Thanks to those of you who are able to tune into me, regardless of the medium that you're using to talk to me and listen to me today, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, thank you so much again for your invaluable time. So today, I'm going to change up a little bit. Instead of talking about just one legend of the game, yeah, I'm going to talk about an aspect of the game that has been exemplified by many a brave heart in the field of cricket. And we'll talk about a couple of those brave hearts just verbally, and a couple of brave hearts I'll share snippets of their performances that have been etched in my memory for decades right now. These brave hearts, when I was a lot younger, they displayed their bravery on the field of cricket, and ever since I saw that, I've been so touched that I thought, okay, let me have a show which I dedicate to the brave hearts of cricket. However, before I go there, I also want to talk about a few things that I think set things in the right perspective. Life can be very, very tough, and life, we all know, is highly unpredictable. And this beautiful sport of cricket that we all love, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, it has also cost, a few times it has cost some wonderful young people to be snatched away from us very, very quickly. Yeah, and one such name that comes to my mind is Philip Hughes, the young and upcoming cricketer in Australia who had his protective gear, his helmet on. Unfortunately, he was felled by a bouncer from Sean Abbott. Yes, the same gentleman, Sean Abbott, who's made names for himself in Australia then at that time, I believe, in the 2014 time frame, still a young and upcoming cricketer. And unfortunately, Phil Hughes was hit in such a way that even the protective gear was bypassed, and it was almost like destiny had an unfortunate incident written that day in the name of Philip Hughes. Very, very sobering story. Extremely disappointed that a young kid, just about to turn 26 3 days later, was hit by a cricket ball playing cricket. Playing cricket is what everybody in the field, the level fielders, including the bowler and the batsmen, two batsmen, including Phil Hughes, loved to do. It was a passion for them. They were entertaining us. They were building themselves up for the future. And that is when this tragedy struck. Unfortunately, despite the best efforts of all the medical staff at the grounds and later hospitals, they could not save Philip Hughes. A terribly stark reminder of what can happen in the field of cricket, something that we all enjoy doing. So let's appreciate that those kinds of challenges and unfortunate incidents are never too far, but hopefully they get more and more far and few in between, because we don't want these brave hearts who play and give us entertainment and make a career to be getting hurt, worse, getting killed by the field, on the field of cricket. Similarly, Raman Lamba, an ex-Indian player, unfortunately for him, he just wanted to field a forward shot leg for a couple of deliveries without his helmet. He was just filling in for another fielder who was a regular there, who had stepped away for 2 or 3 balls, and unfortunately, death came to him. And the very next ball was hit by the batsman, and it struck him straight in the head. I remember at that time the Bangladeshi Prime Minister, I think it was Sheikh Hasina, I believe, and I recall I was getting that information. I don't remember which year, but I got that from some media outlet, and it said very clearly the Prime Minister had said absolutely no effort should be spared in saving the life of Ram. Unfortunately, Ram So stark reminders that even these brave hearts end up facing such difficult challenges that we have to appreciate what they do and make the sport of cricket or any sport for that matter as safe as we could. Now, what happened after Phil Hughes' death was helmets were redesigned. In fact, the ICC also allowed people to design helmets even safer than the standards at that point in time, which were themselves being made safer. And I recall, I don't remember the name of the player, but one of the players in the following year's World Cup from Ireland, he had actually designed a helmet that covered the area that Phil Hughes had left unprotected because of how the helmets were at that point in time. So we do need to ensure, I think scientists are ensuring that the sport of cricket gets safer and safer all the time to protect our brave hearts better and better. So it's a very sombering thing, and the reason I bring that up, that particular topic is whatever I'm going to talk about today, I need to put that in perspective, that things happen, challenges are faced, let's respect our colleagues, let's respect people who give us so much entertainment, let's make sure we appreciate them, and stay grounded. So now moving from there, right, I'm sorry if this was too somber a note, it was too stark a note, so I'll lighten up a little bit, just a touch, and I am going to talk about some of the stars of cricket from the point of view of courage and how they played through injury in ways that we cannot, as common people, ever imagine. The first name that comes to my mind is Sir Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards, one of my earliest legends that I chronicled on this show, and clearly in my dictionary, the finest power hitter the world has ever seen. Yeah, and most importantly, most fearless one. Never wore a helmet. Let's not forget, he faced bowlers who were extremely dangerous. Even though he played for the West Indies and never had to face Michael Holding or Malcolm Marshall and so on, but he faced Imran Khan, Lenny Pascoe, and so many other quickies. And his point was, I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm surely not afraid of you. Absolutely courageous. All the salutations to Sir Viv for his courage that he showed in the field of battle. Similarly, battling through injury, another legend who needs absolutely no introduction, that played through injury in a very, very clever manner and helped his team win the World Cup, is none other than the legend Imran Khan, the captain of Pakistan for a long time, but the series I'm referring to is the 1992 World Cup held across New Zealand and Australia. He played through a shoulder injury that basically almost put him out of action as far as bowling is concerned. What did he do? He was a fantastic captain, a shrewd tactician. He moved himself up the batting order. He used to come in one down, batting number 3, stabilize the innings. Then, of course, he had Javed Miaga and Wasim Abdul Haq to do the honors of really getting to the power hitting. Bowlers, no problem. Dial 2 Ws and Wasim and Bakar are available to do the job. Fantastic captain, but never did anybody know till I read later he was playing through excruciating pain and shoulder injury and helped his team win World Cup in 1992. Yeah, so those are two legends I wanted to talk about. Now on to a couple of legends who I want to not just talk about, but also play some videos that I hope you all would be able to enjoy with me. If you're tuned in to me on Facebook Live, just a reminder, you can reach out to me via Facebook Live or listen to me via Facebook Live. You can also listen to me, continue to listen to me on the 103.3 Houston FM app or houstonfm.com, or of course 103.3 station in the greater Houston area. The first legend that I want to talk about is the fighter, the absolute fighter, one of the biggest fighters that I think the world of cricket could ever see. He was the former India great, and I think he is still, maybe I don't recall the statistics, but he was at one point and for a long period of time the highest wicket taker among Indian bowlers. The tall, bespectacled engineer Anil Kumble. Anil Kumble, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while, more than a decade since this particular incident happened, but it is fresh in my mind because I was still following cricket at that time very, very closely, if not via live transmission, at least keeping up with media reports. Anil Kumble had broken his jaw while batting, and you'll be seeing that here shortly due to a bouncer being hit by a bouncer from Merv Dillon. And then he was not supposed to be playing anymore in that test match, but he insisted that because the pitch was offering something for the bowlers, he would come out and try out his bowling, and then the rest, of course, as they say, is history. So without much ado, let me go to Anil Kumble's feet that I want you all to watch. So give me another few minutes while I flip the camera around and give you all an unobstructed view of Anil Kumble's heroics in 2002 at NSB Cup. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Till then, be entertained. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to now play the very first video that shows the heroics of the great Anil Kumble against West Indies in 2002. Enjoy.
Oh, he's got on the helmet. Oh dear, he took his eyes off the ball. I just wonder if it's hit him on that little protective thing just under the helmet, the one that covers the ears. Never a pretty sight. Oh, took his eyes off the ball, but luckily there doesn't seem any sign of any injury there. That's a good sign. But he'll be winded a little bit. Yes, I actually think it's hit him below the helmet. It's not in the covered part. It's hit him below the helmet.
That's a good spot, as you can see here now. And in that particular area, there isn't much protection. And I think that is where I think maybe if it hit him a little bit higher, it would have been okay. But I think maybe with the position his head was in at the time, that it gave the ball some chance to just creep in that little space where I think there wasn't much protection.
Well, isn't that interesting? This is quite unbelievable. We were told that Anil Kumble is going to be on the next flight home. He's cracked his jaw. It's going to require surgery with a couple of pins inserted. But the Indian think tank has suddenly come up and said, hang on, there is something in this track for the spinners. So Kumble will come in and bowl. This is extraordinary. I have never seen anyone look like this. The last time I saw this, I was a little child and I saw Rick McCosker coming out to bat in a test match. Now, can he bowl? He's been off the ground for a while. He can bowl because he has been injured during the hours of play. And it's an external injury. So he can bowl. But this is typical Anil Kumble. Now, he's a fighter. Now, the team think tank, like you mentioned, Harsha would have said, Lara has just come out to bat. Why don't you go out there and try 5 or 6 overs, see if something happens. You might still have a role to play in this test match. And he's come out to the center and straight away given the ball. Isn't this an afternoon to remember? And first ball, the wrong one going past the bat. I tell you, just seeing someone with all those bandages around his face coming running in at you, that must be something. Brian Lara looked surprised when he came in the first place. and it won't be easy because he'll still be throbbing. But this is a real competitor. If ever you want to see one and you don't get too many spinners around in world cricket at the moment, he's a fighter, and you can see the swelling on his face. It's as if he's got a double chin.
That's a big shout. Is he out? Yes, he's out. Right in front of the stumps. Brian Lara trying to work the ball to the onside, missing a straight delivery. Indian flags being waved by India supporters here. And the gamble of asking Kumble to come onto the field has worked. Just outside, he's just playing across it to square.
That was the fighting spirit of Anil Kumble on full display, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that clip, and I'll share a little more background about this particular incident that I have read in media outlets, even around the time Anil Kumble displayed his spirit. Of course, his wife, talking to reporters in Bengaluru, said she was very proud of Anil Kumble. He's always like this, and we heard Ravi Shastri on commentary saying this is typical Anil Kumble. He's a fighter, yeah. And I recall that what had happened was Anil Kumble wanted to go out there, but then with a broken jaw, they had just put a pin, and he was going to get surgery done in India, and he was going to fly out, I believe, within 24 hours or so. And so surely they were not going to risk playing him. But then, as the commentators also said, because of favorable conditions in the pitch for bowlers and Brian Lara's prior struggles with against spinners, it was decided by Anil Kumble that he wanted to have a go. And the Indian team physio had basically made it very clear. His name was Andrew Lepus, and he had made it very clear to Anil Kumble that he would let him go on one condition, that when he goes out there and bowls, he's not going to be appealing, ladies and gentlemen. But do you think Anil Kumble is going to listen to that? You all saw how much he was appealing. And later on, Andrew Lepus said, oh my God, I was shocked at not just the fact that he was appealing, but the fact that he was all over the place, jumping and so on. Yeah. So this is an example of a real fighting spirit that was depicted by Anil Kumble. Now, I'm going to talk about another legend, but yeah, I'll just move the Facebook Live camera back to me for a few minutes and then back to the video. Apologize, as I've mentioned on my prior shows, it's a one-person show, and so I do have to physically move around. I'll be right back, and I'll continue with our cricketing description and entertainment given by these brave hearts. Be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
चैन मेरा रह गया दुनिया ते चुप होदी सब कुछ कह गया घर मिला के दिल जला के घर मिला के दिल जला के
I give you all a wave back. I'm sure you're able to see me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Now on to our next braveheart. Somebody who displayed his bravery when I was still a very, very young boy, ladies and gentlemen, only 12 years old. And this one really stood with me for a very long time because I heard about it on news media. There was not much live coverage of this game, and I saw some of the highlights and snippets of this Bravehearts performance on what used to be a weekly roundup show on cricket on Sunday afternoons back home in India. This happened in Headingley, Leeds in England, 1984, in the series between West Indies and England. And Malcolm Marshall had broken his hand during this test match. And I recall reading, not just at that time, but later, I believe it was an autobiography of an English cricketer. It's been a very, very long time, so I can't recall exactly which cricketer. I think it was an autobiography or a biography or a media report attributed to somebody who was part of the English playing team at that point in time. And I'm paraphrasing what I had read. What I had read was what the English team generally thought was that because Malcolm Marshall was injured, he would not take any further participation in that particular test match. And they were shocked that Malcolm Marshall, with one hand broken, not only came out to bat with one hand, and then after that, he actually went on to bowl with a broken hand, and he ripped out 7 wickets of England in a devastating spell of fast bowling, all with just one functional hand. Truly unbelievable, truly superhuman, and it really has to be seen. As I said, unbelievable. One has to see it to believe it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play 2 back-to-back videos for you all, ladies and gentlemen. One showcasing Malcolm Marshall batting with one hand, and one showcasing his bowling with one hand in a most devastating manner. So bear with me. I'll switch to Facebook Live. I'll switch the Facebook Live video back to playing those wonderful accomplishments of the unfortunately already late Malcolm Denzel Marshall. Be right back, ladies and gentlemen. तू मिले जहां मेरा जहां है वहां रौनकें सारी तुमसे ही ऐसा गहरा इश्क का है रूह में खुलने लगा. Here's the first of the 2 videos.
And Malcolm Marshall comes out now with his left wrist in plaster. While Malcolm Marshall's coming up to pause here, we can have a look at the way in which Jalgara was run out.
Yes, I think if Joe had made his mind up for 2, you see him going back there, and he's looking all the time when he's turning around. If it had just gone and run out, he's not running at all there, then look, he stops and sets off again. If he'd gone really quickly for 2 from the word go, he would certainly have made it. I mean, you don't have to make one more stride, and that would have been enough, and he could easily have made one stride up. But he was half going all the time. That's a very fatal thing to do.
This will be Allott to look for his 6th wicket. Marshall to face. And off comes the left hand and throws the bat with the right hand.
I think he'd do better blocking than playing that shot, but you never know anyway.
He's going to get 4 runs there. Chopped it down. They've certainly gone for 2, but as the ball races away for 4 runs. So that sees West Indies past the 300 mark. 302 for 9. And Marshall off the boundary. A one-handed boundary too. And he's caught. Yes, very good catch indeed. And extremely quickly. So Bolton snaps up another one. It's the end of the West Indies.
Yeah, I'm pausing the video that was showing Malcolm Marshall's batting skills now because he's bowled out. The team is bowled out. Now we go to the next video where Malcolm Marshall bowls one-handed.
Cricket is a game of skill, strategy, and moments of sheer brilliance. But sometimes it gives us stories that defy belief, moments of courage that transcend the sport itself. The year was 1984. The place, Headingley, Leeds, England, were already battered, trailing 2-0 against a West Indies side that had become the most feared force in world cricket. But amid the dominance, one moment stood out, a tale of sheer willpower and defiance. A fast bowler with a broken hand, a man who should have been ruled out, decided to fight through pain. With one hand he batted, with one hand he fielded, and then, with a fire in his eyes, he unleashed a spell of pure destruction. This is the story of Malcolm Marshall's 7 for 53, a performance that redefined courage in cricket. The West Indies team of the 1980s was not just great, it was unstoppable. Led by Clive Lloyd, they had built a dynasty that crushed teams with ruthless efficiency. The first 2 tests of the series were a complete demolition. First test, an innings and 180-run defeat for England. Second test, a 9-wicket victory for West Indies. By the time they arrived at Headingley for the third test, England were desperate to fight back. They batted first and posted a respectable 270. A solid effort against the most fearsome fast bowling attack ever assembled. Then, just when it seemed England might have found a lifeline, fate struck Malcolm Marshall with a cruel blow. During West Indies' first innings, Chris Broad drove a ball straight back towards Marshall. In a reflex action, he attempted to stop it, but the ball crashed into his left thumb, shattering it in 2 places. The pain was instant. Medical scans confirmed the worst, a broken thumb. The verdict? No cricket for 10 days. England thought they had been given a lifeline. Surely Marshall, West Indies' spearhead, was done for the match. But what they didn't know was that Marshall was built different. By the third day, West Indies were 9 down for 290. Larry Gomes was stranded on 96 not out, just 4 runs away from his century. With no one left to bat, Gomes' dream seemed over. But then, to everyone's shock, Malcolm Marshall walked out. His left hand was wrapped in plaster. He couldn't hold the bat properly, but he wasn't there just for show. First ball, a wild swing and a miss. Second ball, crack! A thick edge flew past Gully and raced to the boundary. The crowd roared in disbelief. This wasn't just a brave act. It was a psychological dagger into England's confidence. Moments later, Larry Gomes reached his century, thanks to Marshall's defiant stand. His job done, Marshall walked off, having made only 4 runs, but delivering an unshakable statement. But the real show was yet to begin. By all logic, Marshall should not have bowled. His bowling hand was fine, but every movement sent pain shooting through his broken thumb. Yet when England came out to bat, there he was, taking the new ball. And from the very first over, the carnage began. Chris Broad, the man whose shot had broken Marshall's thumb, was the first to go. Graham Fowler, fresh off a hard-fought 50, was caught and bowled by Marshall using just one good hand. Alan Lamb, the hero of the first innings, was trapped plumb LBW, completely undone by a delivery that jagged back viciously. By the end of the day, Marshall had already taken 3 wickets, but he was far from finished. When play resumed in the next day, Marshall turned his pain into pure destruction. Nick Cook nicked to slip, gone. Derek Pringle and Paul Allott had no answer to his swinging thunderbolts, both trapped in front. Finally, the last wicket, a searing in-swinger, taking an inside edge before settling into Jeff Dujon's gloves behind the stumps. England had collapsed to 159 all out. Malcolm Marshall's figures, 26 overs, 9 maidens, 7 wickets for 53 runs. West Indies needed just 128 to win, and their legendary opening duo, Greenidge and Haynes, made sure there were no surprises. Viv Richards finished the job, and with that, West Indies had taken an unbeatable 3-0 lead. But this match wasn't just about a West Indies victory. It was about Malcolm Marshall's indomitable spirit. His 7 for 53 remains one of the most heroic bowling spells in Test history. It was part of the infamous blackwash, West Indies whitewashing England 5-0 in their own backyard. His one-handed batting and lethal spell became a symbol of West Indian resilience and dominance. Even today, no fast bowler has matched Marshall's intensity while playing with an injury this severe. Years later, Clive Lloyd would call it one of the greatest and most courageous acts I've ever seen on a cricket field. No fast bowler has ever done what he did that day. A broken hand didn't stop him. The pain didn't slow him down. It only made him stronger. This wasn't just a match. This was bravery. This was resilience. This was Malcolm Marshall. If you think Malcolm Marshall's 7 for 53 with a broken hand was one of the most legendary fast bowling performances ever, then smash that like button. Let's see if we can get 1,000 likes for this absolute masterclass. Now here's a challenge for you. Drop a comment below and tell me, who is the most fearsome fast bowler in cricket history? Marshall, Ambrose?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was truly awe-inspiring on what Malcolm Marshall did in the field of cricket with a broken hand. He used one hand to bat and help his teammate get to a fantastic century, and he bowled with one hand. As we are nearing the ender of my show, I'm going to turn the Facebook Live camera back to me, ladies and gentlemen. Be right back with you all.
सही जाए ना सही जाए ना सही जाए ना सही जाए ना. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, towards the last leg of the show. The Bravehearts that we just saw, we talked about. There are so many more that have exemplified what courage means. And this is only about the field of cricket that I'm talking about. Say, even most recently in the India versus England Test series, you had Rishabh Pant with a broken foot. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he had fractured his foot, yet he came out to bat in the second innings of the fourth Test match to give the Indian team a few more runs that really helped their cause, to help draw the fourth Test match. Similarly, Chris Wokes was out there and he gave full support to Gus Atkinson, and Gus Atkinson, with a few blows, lusty blows, and a little bit of an intelligent farming of the strike, took England to within one strike of at least tying the game. However, Mohammad Siraj did what Mohammad Siraj did, and that's all already part of folklore history. But salutations to the courage of Chris Wokes as well. So with that, we wind down the show, ladies and gentlemen. Again, despite the courage and other stories, let's also be very tempered with the understanding that things are unpredictable and we've got to play it safe the very best we could in every one of our endeavors. Absolutely no substitute for safety, but once safeguards are in place, courage is a huge factor that becomes an enabler towards doing heroic things that others can not just watch and enjoy, but learn and get inspired from. On that note, I'm going to be signing off with a song along the lines of courage and facing challenges in life. A yesteryear classic of Kishorda that I'm sure many of you love to listen to time and again. So with that, this is Mahesh signing off, and I'll see you all, if all goes well, in a week from today on yet another episode of Cricket with Mahesh Iyer. In the meanwhile, take care, stay blessed, and keep me in your thoughts and prayers. Bye for now.
ladies and gentlemen.
रुक जाना नहीं तो कहीं हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे साए बहार के रुक जाना नहीं तो कहीं हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे साए बहार के ओ राही ओ राही ओ राही ओ राही नैना आंसू जो लिए हैं ये राहों के दिए हैं नैना आंसू जो लिए हैं ये राहों के दिए हैं लोगों को उनका सब कुछ दे के तू तो चला था सपने ही लेके कोई नहीं तो तेरे अपने हैं सपने ये प्यार के